Welcome to Dish by RMU Culinary, a weekly installment where we show you delicious food. I'm Chef Rachel with the Institute of Culinary Arts at Robert Morris University in Chicago. This week on Dish, we are going to make cinnamon pecan coffee cake. So what we're going to do to start this is you're going to have some butter melted, and in my bowl I have all the topping ingredients. So I have brown sugar, flour, and cinnamon, which I mixed together, and this is a really easy topping to get done. You're just going to pour your melted butter right on to all of your dry ingredients. And just kind of mix it until it combines. It's going to be a little clumpy, which is fine. Just make for a little bit of a crumble on top of our coffee cake and our layer that's going to go in the middle to create a filling. So once you have this all combined, all you have to do is set it off to the side until we're ready to assemble it in the pan. So next, we are going to jump over to make our filling. So the actual batter itself, we are going to start with sugar, butter, and I threw the vanilla extract in there. You want to make sure when we do this, we are creaming all of our ingredients together. Everything needs to be at room temperature. With this recipe, it doesn't like having ingredients that are on the colder side. It tends to bake a little weird. So you want to make sure you just let everything sit out for a while, make sure it comes up to room temperature, including your sour cream and your eggs, just to make everything combine a little bit easier. So we're going to start mixing this together with our paddle attachment, just so your butters and sugar are combined. Once this is done, we are going to go through, scrape the bowl one more time. We're going to stop and scrape the bowl pretty constantly, just to make sure that all the ingredients are combined. There's nothing that gets stuck on the very bottom of the bowl. So as we do this, you can knock anything off the beaters too, just in case there's extra butter stuck on there. All right, we are then going to go ahead and add our eggs. Like I said, these have been out at room temperature, so I've had them out for about a half hour or so, just to kind of be at the same temperature as the butter. It combines a little bit easier, and it also makes a smoother batter. At the same time, right after this combines, I'm going to add the sour cream. There's a lot of recipes that have sour cream in it. It'll just add a little bit extra flavor and moisture into there. It's kind of the same idea as using buttermilk. There's a little bit of the tang in there, but it adds a lot of moisture. You'll tell a difference of the actual cake itself when you go to eat it. So you're really just combining this until all the ingredients come together. You don't need to overmix it. So what I'm going to do now that this is combined is sift in all of my dry ingredients. So my dry ingredients are going to be the cake flour, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. So all you have to do is sift it in. You can sift this beforehand too and just kind of dump it in once you're ready to go. And this just gets all of the lumps out of the flour, so it makes sure it's really smooth when it goes through and you don't have any clumps as you do this final mixing. Cake flour is also going to make it more tender of a cake, so you won't be quite as heavy. It changes the browning a little bit because there's not as much protein in cake flour, so it tends to make it just a lighter product overall. So you see it a lot in various cake recipes, obviously, but you don't have many other purposes for it outside of cake making. You wouldn't use it in breads or anything like that. So just be very careful if you're using cake flour, use it for the purpose that you need it. And then as you're mixing your dry ingredients in, you just need to mix to combine. You don't want to overmix because too much gluten will form and make a really tough cake. So once you see all the flour is gone, go ahead and turn it back off. And we are ready to get our coffee cake in our pan. I'm just going to clean off the beater really quick. So now all we're going to do is I have a small Angel Food pan that I already sprayed with a little bit of pan spray. And we're going to layer this in. So we're going to start with about half the batter into our tube pan. And then after we get about half of this in, we're going to layer it in with our topping mixture that we made at the beginning, along with some pecans in there. Pecans are optional. You don't have to add them in if you don't want any. but it adds a nice kind of different texture in there, a little bit more flavor. So you don't want to go crazy. Don't use all of your topping all at once. You're going to have too much sugar in the center of your coffee cake. So you just do a little bit of that in there. We're going to toss in a few pecans. And then we're going to repeat it one more time. So we're going to take our remaining batter, make sure we get everything scraped out of the bowl, put this on top as evenly as you can get it. Don't worry if it's not perfectly smooth all the way across. You just want to make sure you cover up your other layer that you have. All right, so we're going to do this one more time. If you have a little extra filling, you can always save it for the next time you make your coffee cake, or if you make cinnamon rolls, you can use this as your filling as well. You're going to put some more of your topping, and then some pecans on the very top. So once you have this all set, I usually say keep it on a sheet pan just in case something overflows. You have something to catch it and it's not on the bottom of your oven. You're going to have your oven preheated to 350 degrees and bake it for about 30 minutes or so. You'll see the top starts to brown and it'll dome up. Once you have that done, you can take it out. You want to make sure it cools to room temperature before you remove it from the pan. All right, now that my coffee cake has come out of the oven, I let it cool in the pan. I just removed it out of there so that way I can put some icing on the top of it. So all we're going to do for our icing is take a little bit of powdered sugar, and you can mix in milk or cream, or you can just do water if you want to. And you just need to stir it together so it's smooth, and that way it looks like your icing you're going to drizzle over the top. You want to make sure it's not too thick, otherwise it won't kind of come out in globs more than a nice drizzle over everything. So once this is nice and smooth, you can also sift your powdered sugar if you need to, if it's really clumpy when it comes out, just to kind of make sure it's nice when it goes on top, otherwise you have clumps of powdered sugar in your icing. So you can take a fork or your whisk and just kind of make swirls on top. If you have another design you want to do, you go to town and kind of choose how you want to have it put on there. All right, and so the last step is going to be taking our slice out. Just go ahead and cut a nice chunk out. And you are all set. For recipe information and more information about our programs, please visit robertmorris.edu/dish and subscribe to our YouTube channel.